Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video is all about the full moon of the 14th of June. It actually draws on deeper wisdom of Vedic astrology that is involved with the energies of this full moon, and plus, of course, there's my usual Western astrology crossover, psychodynamic Western astrology, evolutionary Western astrology. So there's quite a bit to it, and I think the video will run to a second part. And then there's a follow-up video, as usual with lunations, when I suggest possible vision work, that it could be so helpful for you to know about and do, to work with and manage successfully these full moon energies. Okay, the full moon of the 14th of June is at 29 degrees Scorpio in the Vedic sidereal zodiac. That's 23 degrees Sagittarius in the Western tropical zodiac. And of course the Sun is opposite at 29 Vedic Taurus. That's 23 Western Sagittarius. Now you can see the charts in both Western and Vedic astrology on my June 2022 page of my Star Wheel Astrology website. So the full moon here in the beautiful west of Ireland is 12:52 p.m. and it's 7:52 EDT. So this full moon is actually square Neptune in Pisces, and we do need to understand that. Also, it's a full moon which comes following the still settling, hugely demanding energy changes of the nodes of the moon shifting sign into the Libra-Aries axis from the 12th of April. And that shift of the nodes, brings with it huge, vast demands which will persist for 18 months. And we're still sort of even just grappling to know what those are, and work with this full moon will help us there. It is also super important to know that this full moon also forms amid the gathering tense, major destruction energies, but with possible healing potential, of the Rahu-Uranus-Mars conjunction, which will become glaringly exact in our lives on the 1st of August at 24 degrees Aries. Above all, you need to understand unusual energies are being delivered to us from this full moon, and these arise from the fact that this full moon is deep within the immaterial, unsupportive Gandanta zone. The three Gandanta zones are the transition points from water to fire signs, and in them the supportiveness of this world is revealed to actually be immaterial. So this full moon forms in the very difficult last degree of Vedic Scorpio, known as Abhukta Mula, and there's huge ancient wisdom about the nature of the energy of this degree. And it has huge implications when experienced by us as a lunation, particularly, of course, if you have Moon or other planets in Abhukta Mula at the end of Scorpio. So in summary, we particularly need to understand this full moon, especially if we have planets in Aries or Libra, Vedic Aries or Libra, which are now being activated by the nodal transit of Ketu through Libra, Rahu through Aries. And I've written an extensive series about what it means in our lives that the nodes of the moon are now transiting Aries and Libra, and what it means when the nodes transit over our planets in Aries and Libra. But it's not only people with planets in Aries and Libra that are affected. If we have planets, as I said, in the last degree of Scorpio in which this full moon forms, you'll be massively affected. And if you have planets in Pisces, you'll be very affected because Neptune in Pisces is square this full moon axis. And absolutely, let's face it, as with every lunation, all of us, each of us, needs to identify the energies of every full moon and new moon, the destabilizing energies of every full moon. We do need to perceive the full moon energies and the particular detail of each full moon energies more clearly. And we do need to use the opportunity to work with these full moon energies to direct our lives more successfully and more spiritually, and to manage our consciousness. And as for each lunation, I offer a follow-on separate video suggesting ways of doing vision work to identify in a very personal way how these energies are impacting on you and your life, these energies of this full moon. So now I'm going to go into detail of this full moon's energies, which is so important and so useful and so helpful for each of us to understand. And I would certainly add, please remember, it's so useful to do vision work with new and full moons. And the sort of detail I offer about each lunation in my video and blogs really opens the key to deeper, vaster and more powerful transformative vision work and life-changing life management work. Okay, the first major point is that this full moon is in one of the 3 Gandanta zones. And so the most important thing to note is that this full moon is in the Gandanta zone at the end of Vedic Scorpio. Now the 3 Gandanta zones are zones of immateriality, where this world, Mahamaya, is experienced more and more deeply to actually be unsupportive. And for those of us affected by Gandanta energies, this has a huge effect on our consciousness and on our life path and our management of our life path, especially if we have natal planets in any one of the 3 Gandanta zones. It was actually hearing about the Vedic astrology declaration of the Gandanta zones. What special wisdom! And the actual meaning of my natal moon, which is in the end of Pisces Gandanta zone at 29 degrees 56 Pisces. This means that mother will not be there for you, so you must learn to mother yourself as a life task, as a karma, as a fate. And reading that one sentence converted me to adding Vedic astrology to my Western astrology 28 years ago. Because Western astrology knows nothing of the Gandanta zones, and yet they're possibly the most crucial thing to know in my life and in so many people's life. Everybody's really. You do, of course, need both astrologies. So all my readings and all my courses combine both Western psychodynamic and evolutionary astrology, as well as the utter vastness of Vedic astrology. Now, the important thing to know is that the 3 Gandanta zones are 2 degrees either side of the transition point from water sign to fire sign in the Vedic sidereal zodiac. And when we're activated by that, we're not at all strong. They're not at all supportive for worldly matters. They dissolve, destroy, and render immaterial or weak. But note, from the realization of that and learning to live with it and handle it, great spiritual insight can grow. There's huge potential from this knowledge and awareness to use it to achieve connection, better and better connection with the divine reality. Simply because this world, Mahamaya, can actually be seen more and more so to be unreal. It's super important because here we come to burn our negative karmas and maximize special talents from previous life. But it's not the ultimate reality. The true reality lies beyond this realm. I did a 5-year university-based field study, an ethnography of spiritual forms new to the modern West from 1998, studying Hinduism, Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, paganism, shamanism and utopian community. And so I learned that in Buddhism, the definition of this true reality beyond this world is nirvana. In Hinduism, it's the God realm, the gods who are faces of the ultimate divine. And so, in the Gandanta, we encounter Lord Shiva dancing creation in and out of being. Here is Shiva Nataraja. And you can see that Lord Shiva is stamping his foot down on little creature, Apasmara, the demon of ignorance, as he dances with his snake and fire and the drumbeat of creation. And also in Hinduism, it's Lord Vishnu lying back in ecstasy, dreaming universes in and out of being. Or it's the playing of Lord Krishna's flute. It's the death and rebirth power of Ma Kali, the loving goddess of death and destruction, and of Niriti, the goddess of death and destruction. So these 3 Gandanta zones lie in the transition points from water sign to fire sign. Say the last 2 degrees at the very end of a water sign, the first 2 degrees at the start of the following fire sign. But note that the closer a planet is to the actual transition 0 point between the water sign and the fire sign, the stronger is the Gandanta realization of the unsupportive and unreal nature of this world. So the 3 Gandanta zones are the transition points from Pisces to Aries, Cancer to Leo, and Scorpio to Sagittarius. Now, it's not easy in worldly terms to have a natal planet there, but a Bhukta Mula is said to be the worst, and a Bhukta Mula is the last degree of Scorpio. And there's a strong, ancient, enduring Vedic tradition that this is a terrible place, especially for a girl to be born with her natal moon there in a Bhukta Mula. And that's because this means that mother, in some way, will not be there for the girl. And this causes terrible problems for the girl's later marriage and mothering. And this, a Bhukta Mula Gandanta energy, is the energy of this full moon of June the 14th. I've been doing Vedic astrology readings and teaching for 25 years, and sincerely I have found this teaching about a Bhukta Mula to be true. And this truth has had the vastest effect in my own life, from my upbringing of orphanage and adoption, so I know it to be true. So this full moon is at 29 degrees 15 Scorpio, and so if we attune to its energies and do vision work, it can quite deeply reveal to us the true reality that lies beyond the unsupportive experience of our stay here in this world. And of course we must absolutely always remember anyway that any full moon is a time of strong emotional swings and feelings. So the second point about this full moon is that it is in Jyesta Nakshatra. And Jyesta Nakshatra has an energy of superiority, but there is a Jyesta Nemesis that is a most important addition to our awareness at the time each of us is affected by this full moon. Jyesta can be a difficult nakshatra because of its associations with abandonment and betrayal. Jyesta is associated with the star Antares, one of the 4 royal stars of Persia, marking the ancient cardinal directions. Now, the royal stars can give great gifts, but there is a nemesis to overcome first. Note that often the nemesis is actually within us, even if it appears to be represented by something external to us. And note that Jyesta can have the attribute of success. However, if the person goes through the cleansing or cathartic life and death transformation experience that this energy brings, and we'll get a taste of that at the time of this full moon. Jyesta Nakshatra is at the end of Scorpio, where the stinger is at the end of the scorpion. And yes, Jyesta is a nakshatra of betrayal, jealousy, hardships and abandonment. However, it also has the attribute of success. Success that comes after cleansing or catharsis. After cathartic life and death transformative experience. And remember, Jyesta is the nakshatra before Mula at the start of Vedic Sagittarius. Mula, the root, the galactic centre. The nakshatras are an evolutionary process of unfolding. The sun represents the unfolding of consciousness at the universal level and the unfolding of self-realization at the personal level. Sun in Jyesta asks us to examine our relationship with power and betrayal and look within to see what role our ego has played in the related hardships we've endured. It's not the sun that's in Jyesta at the time of this particular full moon, though. It's the moon in Jyesta. And the moon in Jyesta, and we will feel this, is a troubled, unsure what to do energy. And this troubled mind can get us involved. Well, if you have moon in a book to Mula, for example, can get you involved in inappropriate sexual relationships. But this is a moon actually learning about spirituality. That's what we have to realize now. Becoming more able to adapt to the greater spiritual force. Now the ruler of Jyesta Nakshatra is planet Mercury. Jyesta represents the struggle of the mind to adapt to new reality of life. There's angst in Jyesta connected to the mother or the relationship with the mother that influences the whole life. And for Jyesta moons, Mercury is always the first dasha, Vedic predictive period, for any Jyesta moon person. And the end of Mercury dasha always carries negativity or karmic poisons within. And to face these issues in childhood is usually difficult. So the moon placed in the last degrees of Jyesta in Gandanta, in a Bhukta Mula, is a very difficult position. And these are the energies that we will feel at the time of this full moon. The storms of transformation are intense, but need to be gone along with, not proudly blocked and denied. These energies we must now connect with, solve and grow with at the time of this full moon. And remember, the Shakti or power of Jayastra is to rise and conquer through courage and effort. A brief mention as a third point that Sun is in Taurus in Mrigashira Nakshatra, and the energy of Mrigashira Nakshatra, we may feel this, is over suspicious and hyper restless to the point of burnout. But if they do the spiritual work, they can find the soma that they are actually really seeking. Okay, point number 4, the really big one. This full moon is square Neptune, or Neptune is square this full moon. It's crucially important to note that Neptune is in Pisces, at 1 degree Pisces in Purvabhadra Nakshatra. So, coupled with the fact that moon is in a Gandanta zone, with Neptune in Pisces, we are each of us potentially in a liminal zone at the time of this full moon. Positively, this Neptune-Moon energy combination can create an energy of vision for us as to how to achieve our goals if you do the vision work. This is super important to be aware of. We need to connect to our subconscious phenomena, our unconscious, and we need to sustain a refined sense of feeling at this time, which Neptune Moon promotes. We need to grow and nurture our inner vision and imagination. Foster your inspiration and vision. Identify and foster your far-reaching wishes. Certainly, there could be intense dream experiences, and write down when you wake up what you can remember of your